The New York Football Giants only had Tommy DeVito as one of their quarterbacks on the team. But just a few days ago, the New York Giants picked up and signed Jameis Winston. And I'm here to let you all know in today's episode why that gives the New York Football Giants a little bit more flexibility in this year's NFL draft. And then on the back end of this episode, we will talk about one of the latest mock drafts that came out that had the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting quarterback out of Ole Miss, Jackson Dart. Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it all down right after this.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Just keep in mind, the current schedule for NFL Central is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until we start to get closer and closer to the NFL draft, where me and Steve-O will be pumping out more videos just for you all to enjoy. But for the meantime, in between time, thank y'all for the continued support. But let's get into it. Now, it was already put out there for everybody to see that Jameis Winston is now a New York Giant. They picked him up, signed for a 2-year, $8 million deal. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad deal for Jameis Winston or the New York Giants. Now, this is not a move that's going to go out there and make the Giants a Super Bowl contender, hell, even a playoff contender right now. But I think that it's a very good move to get a veteran quarterback like Jameis Winston in the building, a good locker room guy, a guy that's going to go out there and give you some good damn sermons in the huddle. You know what I'm saying? All those speeches or whatnot. I'm going to keep those young guys energized, and he's going to be able to help whoever the Giants decide to bring into their locker room to be their starting quarterback. I believe this move provides the Giants with some flexibility for a lot of reasons. Now, it's being reported that Russell Wilson could very well still be in play for the New York Giants. I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that the New York Giants should be trying to pivot and trying to find themselves a young guy in this draft. So then you can potentially have Jameis Winston take over the games just to start the season, allow the young fella to come along, whoever that may be. And then you allow the young fella to kind of step in like how Michael Penix did last year, or for some examples, you know, from other teams over the past few years to come in and just take over. I don't necessarily think that Jameis Winston is going to go out there and win a ton of games for you, but I think with having him in that building, it provides you some flexibility. Let's dive deeper into it. Now, it currently stands that the Giants are picking third in this year's 2025 NFL draft, right? Now, there's been some reports that, and you know what I'm saying, some things swirling around guys like Shedeur Sanders in this draft. I absolutely believe that the New York Giants should be trying to acquire or draft Shedeur Sanders because he's talented as hell. He already has that winning mentality. He's been a winner everywhere that he's gone throughout his collegiate career. Why not get a guy in there that you know is going to put in some work and have his teammates galvanize around him, come together, and then he can eventually take over and grab the bull by the horn and potentially be there for the foreseeable future. But it provides the New York Giants some flexibility because if you're not so sold on him, if you do feel like that he's arrogant or you don't want to deal with his dad being in the way or being in the area or constantly being a supporter of him, in my opinion, which I think is stupid. But if you have a problem with that, this right here with Jameis Winston allows you some flexibility to take calls and say, hey, Shedeur Sanders right here, you want the third pick? You can eventually move back a couple slots. And you probably can look at a guy like Jackson Dart. You could probably go out there, acquire more draft picks, be able to allow yourself to be able to draft and develop more guys because, yes, they have some talent over there in New York, but they need a lot of more talent. You know what I'm saying? They got some guys on the defensive line that you can look to and say, hey, these guys are awesome. You got your young wide receiver and Malik Neighbors. That's why I will go with Shedeur Sanders if I was the New York Giants, and he's right there for the taking. But teams talk themselves out of a lot of things in the NFL. We've seen it countless times. We've seen owners and GMs talk themselves into decisions that didn't necessarily make sense. We look at Deshaun Watson, who I've been very critical of these last few weeks and last few years. You seen a GM talk himself and owner talk himself into going out there and giving them a fully guaranteed contract, even though he knew what was transpiring in Deshaun Watson's personal business. So I'm looking at the New York Giants. This move allows you to go out there and say, hey, we don't really like Shedeur Sanders. We don't think that he's going to mold well with the head coach and Brian Dable. We don't necessarily feel like he's going to be the guy that we feel can take us to the next level, which is crazy again. But having Jameis Winston right there allows you to have those options and pretty much saying, hey, we got a nice veteran quarterback. He's going to be a good locker room guy. He's going to go out there and have some good games in the first 3 quarters, and we know he's going to screw it up at the 4th quarter, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? When you consider, hey, some of those tough losses that you might encounter with Jameis Winston, I'm not trying to completely crap on him, but that's just what the history has shown me these past few years is that he's going to come out and ball for the first 3 quarters, but when the game get tight, it get a little more hot in the room, things get a little bit more tougher, a pick 6 might be coming. You know what I'm saying? And he's saying that he praying for God to remove pick 6s from his life. But hey, man, I don't think, you know what I'm saying, God really cares too much about football. I don't know, just personally. But hey, I'm not God, so I can't speak for him. But I still think that acquiring a veteran quarterback like this, who's going to be a good locker room guy, allows you to have some type of flexibility within your locker room and have some flexibility as you enter this draft. If you're looking at a guy in Jackson Dart who's 6'2", 225 pounds, and many believe is a good downfield accurate passer, a guy that's going to be able to learn and be able to develop, and a guy that has went through all his progressions and whatnot while playing football and believe that he's a very high IQ football player, this move allows you some flexibility to go ahead and take a Jackson Dart later in the rounds after you acquire or trade out of that 3rd pick. You pick up some more picks, and it gives you an opportunity to just have them sit just a little bit longer and not have to face the pressure of starting or being ready for week 1. Or you can simply just take, you know what I'm saying? You can take the route that Sean Payton took with Bo Nix. Yes, go out there and earn the spot. Once you earn the spot, we're going to surround you and we're going to have a plan to build around you. Me personally, I think Brian Dable is still he's still a solid coach. It has not been looking good these past few years by some of the decisions that he's made on the field and a lot of decisions that his GM made. And we know some of those moves. Those was knuckleheads and bonehead moves. But I still think if you pair one of these quarterbacks with the Brian Dable, he should be able to get the best out of one of these young quarterbacks because Tommy DeVito is not the future. I like Tommy DeVito, and you know what I'm saying, not necessarily as one of the better quarterbacks, but I like that he goes out there and compete and does exactly what Brian Dable asks him to do. It's not always pretty. It's not always going to result in wins. So you got to go out there and find somebody else, right? And the reports that pretty much saying that Russell Wilson is still on the table for them. Look, I understand it to a degree, but it goes back to my train of thought with the Pittsburgh Steelers waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Okay, you get him in the building for how long? A year or 2? And then what? Like, are you just saying that we need a throwaway year to wait on Arch or a couple years to wait on the next quarterback? That's very disrespectful to the players that's in that locker room if you just want to go out there and tank, which is I'm not really a fan of when it comes to sports. I believe that is very disrespectful to the players that are playing, especially with these guys that got to go out there and feed their families. And we know there are not a lot of guaranteed contracts in the NFL. So guys are going out there to trying to make a living for themselves every single season if you're not locked up for a 4-year contract with 2-3 years guaranteed. You know, it's a bit different in the NFL than it is per se the NBA when you compare contracts. But I still think that Jameis Winston, the signing, it was solid for the Giants. They didn't have to give up much money. You're not going to expect him to go out there and carry the mantle for 3, 4, 5 years down the road, but he can be a legitimate backup for you or for a young quarterback who wants to come in his league. He still has some youth in him. He's not at the tip. Well, yeah, he got more years behind him than in front of him, but I still think he has some football left to where you can allow him to be a backup for the next 3 or 4 years if that's what you elect to do. Because I see we have to show love to the backup quarterbacks in this regard. A lot of them be really good for rookie quarterbacks. A lot of them do really well for rookie quarterbacks. We looking at one example last year. Look at veteran Marcus Mariota and how critical he was in calming down Jaden Daniels throughout some of those tough matchups and some of those tough fourth quarters, to where he's having those conversations with Jaden Daniels and just being a good high IQ teammate and being a good supporter of the rookie quarterback. So if you could provide your next rookie quarterback, in my opinion, where you should be going in this draft, you give him a high IQ football player, not the best football player when it comes to pressure moments, but a high IQ player with a high character that's not going to necessarily try to take the mantle away from your young quarterback. He's going to go into the season understanding this is going to be your team eventually. I'm just here to help you out to the best of my abilities, and I think it will provide some flexibility for the New York Giants. But y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that, man. Now, before we go, we got to talk about one of the latest mock drafts from CBS Sports. They pretty much had the Steelers with the 21st pick going out there and selecting Jackson Dart. Okay, so y'all say, Bobby, you just killed the Steelers because the Steelers are waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I'm still going to kill him for waiting on Aaron Rodgers because it's stupid. Why are you waiting on this guy to make a decision? Now, I know that they had him in the building. They had him for a 6-hour meeting. Cool, fine, and dandy. But there was not much of discussion when it came to, okay, what's the succession plan? Now we have the succession plan. I say it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I say it's one of those things. You can draft a Jackson Dart if that is the case, and if that was to happen. You say okay, cool, but then I got to throw it right back to the Steelers. Kellen Moore is a new head coach in New Orleans. New Orleans picks number 9. I understand they have Derek Carr, but how long are NFL coaches are going to wait for Derek Carr to be better than mid? This is just a legit question. How long are NFL coaches that has Derek Carr in the building going to wait for him to be better than mid? He'll have a couple good games and then a couple bad games. A couple bad games and then a good game here there. But it's been mostly a roller coaster ride with Derek Carr. If I'm Kellen Moore with the number 9 pick, I'm looking at a Jackson Dart. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, my question to you is, how are you going to attack this to make sure that you are getting at least one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft? You ain't getting Cam Ward because I have the speculation that the Tennessee Titans are going to select Cam Ward number 1. Shedeur Sanders, I have him going to the New York Giants. The Saints, if I'm the Saints, I'm drafting Jackson Dart at number 9. So Pittsburgh Steelers, are you going to just sit there and wait? How aggressive are you going to be? You know what I'm saying? That's why, even though in the latest mock they have him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that would be absolutely a good idea. If you get Aaron Rodgers in the building, you still go out and draft a young quarterback, rightfully so. But do you have much faith in a Quinn Ewers? It's a bit shaky. What about the quarterback from Ohio State? It's a bit shaky. So you got to see how you can get one of these top guys. In the last top guy that I think that's going to be available, you are too far down in the draft, at least in the first round, in my opinion, with some teams that may be looking for, their next quarterback successor to strike. Now, you could very well allow them Jackson Dart to fall into your hands, because I've seen some mock drafts that had the New Orleans Saints selecting tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State. But if I'm Kellen Moore, I'm thinking about Derek Carr. You've been mid for years, bruh. And you can't come up with that excuse and say that the Saints offense don't got wide receivers and some talent over there. You've been mid, bruh. So what do the Pittsburgh Steelers do if he's off the board? You're back to where we originally began. You buy yourself one more year. That's it. Because there's no guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is playing another 2 years. This could very well be his last year. And if you do have the opportunity to get yourself a Jackson Dart at 21, you win. But as of right now, it looks a little bleak. It looks murky. You know what I'm saying? It look a little funny to me. But if it does happen, new information brings new opinions. I sit right here and tell you, hey, I ain't mad at it. You got your Aaron Rodgers, you got your young quarterback that can sit behind him and learn. I'm not mad at it. But as of right now, there's no Aaron Rodgers in the building. As of right now, Justin Fields is gone. Russell Wilson doesn't look like he's coming back. And that'll be stupid to have Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson in the same building. That'll be absolutely stupid. So, Pittsburgh Steelers, with this latest mock, you win. But right now, you're losing. Sitting on your hands and losing. Now, when we talk about Jackson Dart before we go, hey, this is a guy that's 4 years in college, played in over 45 games throughout his collegiate career. Last season, 69% completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not bad for a quarterback at Ole Miss. Not bad. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't watch a lot of games of his. But there are some experts out there that believe he has good downfield accuracy. They believe he is a high IQ quarterback that can process, you know what I'm saying, things pretty well. And I will say, we shall see. But we still got to see what y'all going to do, big dog. We still got to see what y'all going to do. How aggressive will you be, Pittsburgh? Do you go up? If you have some type of fear, do you go up to grab this young man? Or do you just sit and wait at 21 like you sitting and waiting on 41? Aaron Rodgers. What about? Do you sit there and do that? But hey, y'all let me know all your thoughts and everything down below. That is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. Before y'all go, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.